What's up, everybody? Peach Booty here again, and I caught a little cold this weekend. One could say a fever, but seriously, I did. But that did give me time to play some Mario Tennis Fever over the weekend, and I put about 10 hours on it, so I wanted to give some impressions on the game. And obviously, me being Peach Booty, I'm talking about ass impressions. I will also be talking about the game a little bit overall. But first things first, I do want to kind of clarify what I've said in a couple other videos, and I still stand by that, which is my biggest disappointment with this game is that it reuses a lot of animations from Aces and even Ultra Smash on the Wii U. Therefore, the models themselves are also very samey. I think there are some minor differences, like Rosalina's face definitely looks different in Fever, but a lot of the other characters, a lot of their outfits, animations, and models overall are pretty similar to what they used in both Ultra Smash and Aces. So I'm still looking at Mario Kart World as kind of the most current new modern models of them. And if you go back and look at Aces on the Switch, that's where I've said where Daisy kind of took over, where she looked the thickest. And in my most recent polls on my channel, a lot of people agree with that. She has the shorts, and unlike Mario Kart World, they don't really have any other alternate outfits. You just get alternate colors for like Yoshi and Shy Guy, etc. So when it comes to the asses of these four, I still think I have a pretty similar ranking simply because the models are mostly reused. So even though Daisy would definitely be number one in Aces, whereas I've said Pauline is definitely the best ass in Mario Kart World, I still think that when it comes to the modern models, I would still give Pauline the slight edge to Daisy when it comes to ass. But Daisy in this specific game definitely has the best ass, and a lot of it has to do with the shorts. I do have a lot of angles. I'm just using a lot of B-roll footage from matches that I got over the weekend, but there are some good angles of not just Daisy, but even in the dresses of Peach, Rosalina, and Pauline. And the brunettes are definitely taking it here. They definitely have had the ass in the most recent games. And with me being Peach Booty, obviously Peach, I know I've gotten a lot of new subscribers lately, so my channel started with Peach Booty, the Peach Bomber, all for butt attacks and Smash, and I've used her since Melee. So I was a Peach guy from all the way Melee to Ultimate, so a good 16 years where Peach was my number one booty. And she's still my number one video game character, and I still really like her design. But when it comes to butts, Aces to Ultimate in 2018 is where Daisy kind of surpassed Peach. Then I was a Daisy guy for a good, I think, like 6 years. And then you've had Zelda recently with the dress in Tears of the Kingdom, the pants in Breath of the Wild, and then the hitbox, or really Hurtbox, but the hitbox meme in Smash. And then you've had Pauline in Mario Kart World. So the Nintendo women are really, really bringing it here. And I really like all four of the Mario women. I'm not one of those people that was just like only Peach before and then only Daisy or only Rosalina or only Pauline. And even though I say the brunettes are kind of dominating or are in front, when it comes to butts, when it comes to the Nintendo ass, I still like all four of the Mario women, and especially any princess vibe. And now with the Mario Galaxy movie, it pretty much confirms 100% that Rosalina is considered a princess, or as I would like to say, princess. So you have the three princesses, and then Pauline, I've said plenty of times, if you want to go look at my Mario Kart World videos, that I was actually shocked that I don't want to say shocked, more so surprised with how much bigger Pauline's butt was than the other three, because I've said plenty of times that all four of them got buffed. But as I'm talking here and I'm looking at this footage, there are a lot of nice shots when they go to the replays, where when you do I forget the term off the top of my head right now, but when you do one of the fever shots, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, there are some good shots just on the replays, because there's no photo mode, so you can't get your own angles, but where one of the women will jump up and you'll see a pretty good like close-up of their butts, so that's always nice. But when it comes to the game overall, I think I really liked the slowdown effect in Aces, so I'm missing that a little bit. But the fever shots and like the chaos of this game, I really wanted the Mario sports games to be more arcadey. That was a problem with the Switch sports games, were that they were way too technical. I loved the animations of Battle League, but they still weren't as good as Strikers and Strikers Charge, but they were still animated very well, and they just weren't as edgy, and you're not going to get Daisy, putting her thumb to her ass where it's steaming, stuff like that. But they were still pretty thick in Battle League as well. They did have Daisy booty bump the ball in Strikers Battle League for her Hyper Strike, which I really liked. So I'm curious where they're going to go, because I'm assuming Monolith Soft worked on most of the character models in Mario Kart World, and Pauline being kind of the Jessica Rabbit, Betty Boop, I think her name is, like the old kind of cartoon style. It would make sense to give her the big butt, but Peach and now Daisy have the butt-based moveset in Smash. And that's kind of why I made my last video with Is Rosalina thick, because she was always kind of the heavyweight status, the taller, wider version of Peach, really. And they're all kind of, even though Pauline was technically first, they're all kind of different versions of Peach, and me being a Peach guy, I just grew to like all four. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to say, because they reuse the animations. I do like the whole like ink and the mud. You can get that. You can get the fire and the ice effects, so that adds different animations and different visuals and all that. But right now, I think when it comes to Mario Tennis Fever, you'd have to go, when you're just ranking the butts, you would have to probably go Daisy, Pauline, Rosalina, Peach. And I'm slightly disappointed that they've been giving Peach kind of the most petite, smaller butt in the most recent games, especially when it comes to all the time she's used her Peach in Smash Bros. And it is kind of hot to have the other women be thicker than Peach, but I kind of want her to like catch back up. I want to keep raising the bar, and the thickest version of Peach is actually in Princess Peach Showtime, where you don't have the other women, but every time you have the other women there for like the entire Switch 2 era, she's had the smallest butt of the four. So she's still the smallest in this game, and then Rosalina, and then Pauline and Daisy. And there's some pretty good angles, pretty good shots of Pauline, even in a dress that I have here. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I really want another game like Mario Kart World where it's newer models and not just reusing the same. So hopefully in something other than a Mario sports game. And Mario Party games are usually pretty samey as well. So I'm not really sure where we're going to get something like that next. I mean, just in the next like big 3D Mario game, anything like that. I'm really hoping, I have a dream game where if they did another Mario RPG but wasn't Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi, but it was more of like the Squaresoft Super Mario RPG, and even if they have Square Enix or not helping them, if they had a trailer at the next Nintendo Direct that looked like a Mario Odyssey, and it still had 3D platforming, like the scope and the look of a Mario Odyssey, but then you get like turn-based battles, and then you get Peach and Daisy on the same team, and they're doing like a dual strike or dual tech with the Peach Bomber, Daisy Bombers. That's just crazy dream stuff, but I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So those are just my first impressions, my ass impressions of Mario Tennis Fever and the Mario women when it comes to this current era of the Switch 2. So that's pretty much everything I have to say. I hope I get over this cold soon, and then I can make more videos. But that's everything I got for my Mario Tennis Fever ass impressions, and I'll see you guys in the next one.